Hello and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about rat cages and all that you need, and I'll be leaving links in the description for everything so you can find everything and set up your own rat cage. Or if you already have a rat cage and just looking for some tips on what else you can buy. Now, I won't be talking about rat behavior or anything in this video, and if you would like a video on that, I will be posting a video of that at some point, so stay tuned. It may not be a video that's going to come very soon, but there will be one at some point. Alright, let's get started. Now, the first thing that you will obviously need for a rat cage is a cage. There's a lot of cages on the market. I got this specific one. This is the Double Critter Nation. I got it off of Facebook Marketplace for about $100 something. You can find them for that much, around $100 on Facebook Marketplace and other resale. You just need to look up the specific type of cage you want on that site. But I'm going to be linking all the cages for new. So first I'm going to link the cage that I have, the Double Critter Nation, which is probably the most popular when it comes to rats. The cons of it are probably that the wires go this way, so it's a little hard to find spots for hammocks because they slide, or it's too far or too close when it comes to like this part. The pros of it are that both doors open, so it's really easy to clean the cage. Another pro about this cage is that if you buy another one, you can connect these by taking off the side, and then you can connect another one to make it even bigger. And the middle and the bottom and stuff you can leave off and it'll be fine. Like I have right here. I have the whole middle out. Alright, on to the next cage. The next cage is probably the Feisty Ferret cage. I almost got the Feisty Ferret cage. It's in the hundreds. It's cheaper than this, but it's not as big. It's probably maybe like 3/4 of this cage. It's not quite as tall and it's not quite as wide or deep. I can't remember if both doors open, but you can look for yourself. You won't be able to keep as many rats in it. Like I'd say maybe 3 rats in a Feisty Ferret cage. This cage you could probably do about 4 or 5. I've had more though in here. Only like one more, like 6 rats total probably in here at one point, but it wasn't for very long. The next cage is preview cage, I think. No. Cage, and I'll show you a picture like I'm doing with all the cages. I can't remember exactly what the brand is. I'm pretty sure both doors open and it's a similar size to this. I think it might be slightly shorter, but I think it also might be wider than this one. So it's depending on kind of like what you want. Now we're going to be talking about bedding. So there's a lot of different beddings you could use, but to hold the bedding, I personally have a concrete mixing pan. It's just the same width as the cage. You can find them at hardware stores. You probably have to order it online, but I'll link one that I find that fits in the Critter Nation, but I'm not sure if it fit in the other cages. But I know you can also make your own pans out of acrylic sheets. So I'll link a video that someone made on YouTube for how to make your own acrylic pan. Now the beddings. So everyone has a different preference, it seems. So you could do kiln-dried pine. Excuse that, my rat Merlin likes to chew the bars when he wants attention. I can't do either aspen or kiln-dried pine because I'm allergic. When I did try to use aspen, it was very dusty, so I don't really like it very much. The kiln-dried pine, I'll leave a link for one below, and the aspen. You can also do paper bedding, but not as many people recommend that anymore because it gets gross really fast. And I don't know if I'd recommend it either because honestly within a week it stinks. But if you are going to get, and same with the KT Clean and Cozy, because KT and Clean and Cozy was probably the most dust-free one, even though it still had some dust that I've used, and probably the least prone to getting stinky. I don't like Carefresh personally, even though I like their brand more than I like KT. it was a lot dustier and I was having problems with my rats getting lung issues. Another bedding type that's a little more on the pricey side, I've never personally used it though, is hemp. With hemp, I think I remember people saying it was pretty dusty too, but if you find hemp that works for you, then it's totally great. But I'll try to find one and link it. But I do think people said that it stays cleaner and less stinky. Same with like the kiln dried pine and the aspen. But I've heard good things about hemp, but I've also heard not so great things about hemp, but you can do your own research too. Now on to my favorite bedding. I'll be switching my bedding to this next one pretty soon. And I'll film the process if anybody wants that. Is a bioactive bedding. Bioactive bedding, it has gotten a little more popular. I'll link a video that I really like that made me want to do bioactive bedding. She has an amazing cage, so I'll link her channel or the video that I watched, so you can see that. So bioactive bedding is cocoa fiber bedding. So you can get the condensed bricks. I'm probably gonna get about like a 3-pack. And you moisten them with water in a bin until it's fluffy and a little damp, and then you put it in the pan and you add a springtail culture and isopods. So springtails and isopods will are like a cleanup crew, so they'll kind of eat the like poop and stuff to keep it from getting gross, and you basically just need to top it off with cocoa soil occasionally when it starts getting kind of condensed and like it lowers, and it's a lot more enriching. So that's what I'm going to be switching mine to. The only thing is that I did hear it's initially hard to get your springtail culture and isopod culture to do well, but I think it's worth a try. And definitely the cheapest in the long run. The initial setup won't be the cheapest, probably around $40–50, but then all you have to do for like the rest of your little rats' lives is just top it off occasionally with more cocoa soil, which is pretty cheap. Next, let's talk about fall catchers. Fall catchers are pretty important in a rat cage, especially as your rats get older. The most popular fall catcher, which I have in here, is probably a IKEA tie holder. The next great fall breaker is ropes, 2 bird ropes in here. The only thing about these is that they don't tend to be very thick. I also really like this dog rope, like a mammoth extra large dog rope, and it's been great. It's pretty thick and the knots make it a little easier to attach to different parts of the cage so you can have it going in different directions. It's only like 12 bucks. Next, let's talk about levels. I have like little baskets and stuff. The next levels are probably lava ledges, which are super popular, and I know I like them. It'll keep their nails down and they can chew on them too. So I like the KT ones. I have a few in here. They're great for putting under water bottles, and I have one under my forage toy. That way they kind of have to be on them. Next is enrichment toys. So like I already showed you, I have this bird spinning enrichment toy. So basically it's like a little wheel with a little sheet of plastic, and you can put treats in it, and then they have to spin it to get stuff out. They're not too expensive. You can find them on Amazon, so I'll link one below. Another enrichment idea that's really cheap, I'll make a separate video on DIY rat forage toys, but you can do stuff out of toilet paper tubes and egg cartons, stuff like that. You just fill them with some sort of filling and food and treats and stuff, and they have to kind of tear it apart. Next, let's talk about litter boxes. I personally don't have litter boxes because I was finding it really hard to train all of my rats, but I am going to be buying a cat litter box off of Amazon, so I'll link that one below. And I usually fill stuff like that with Yesterday's News pellet cat litter. You can also do corner litter boxes, which I know a lot of people use, so I'll leave those linked also. Next, let's talk about hides. So hides will make your rats feel safe, and you're gonna want about one hide per rat, I'd say, maybe more if you can. I like to have some sort of two entrance hide on the bottom. So I have the Lixit like hollow, also space pods, which are also the Lixit brand. Space pods are very popular in the rat community. I have 2 of them and my rats really like them, and just really good little hides that you can put kind of anywhere. I don't really have any other hides, but if I find any that I think are good, I'll leave them linked also. Next, let's talk about hammocks. Hammocks are pretty necessary in rat cages, I'd say. I have a 3-tiered one right here that I got on Amazon. It's fluffy on the inside, so it's really nice for the winter. What are you doing? This pancake. Single tier hammocks, I see that my rats don't use as often, so I prefer the multi-tier hammocks. So I have that one. I also have a corner hammock. I forgot to talk about warmth. So I give my rats blankets and shredded paper so they can make little nests and stuff with it. So I just use fleece for my blankets. Next, let's talk about chew toys. I like the Oxbow chew toys. I'll leave a few down below that I like the most. Next is accessories outside of the cage. So I'm gonna start with first aid kit. I have a little first aid kit in like a little plastic trash can. I can do a more in-depth video on what to put in a first aid kit. Next is their treats. I have a bunch of different treats. I can do a video on safe and not safe treats if you want to. Next is cleaning products. Paper towels are good for just cleaning like the plastic items and like the trays and everything. I like to use a washcloth to clean the bars. I use 2 different sprays in my cage. One that I probably recommend more than the other is a water vinegar solution. And then the next spray I have is the Nature's Miracle small animal cage cleaner. I use it on some of the tougher spots. Next, let's talk about a little free roam area. I can do an in-depth video on free roam areas. I personally just put them on my bed. Next, let's talk about water bottles. My rats have always preferred glass water bottles. I really like the Living World glass water bottle. It has a little floating carrot in it, and then I also have a plastic Lixit water bottle, which I really like too. I also have a Living World glass water bottle that I really like too. I have not had any problems with it. I've had it for a couple years now, which is PetSmart's old small animal brand. I don't know if they sell glass water bottles anymore. Next, let's talk about water bowls. I have a little metal one for dogs up there, but I'd rather have one that the cup comes out easier, because that one you have to dry up all the water before you can clean it and change it, because if you try to get it out it just splashes everywhere. So I'll leave one that I'd prefer in the description. Another thing you're gonna want is a carrier for taking them to the vet. I have the Living World small animal carrier. It's their larger one that they have. And for some rats, like female rats, you might want to consider getting a wheel. Another thing outside the cage you need to get is an air purifier. I have a couple different ones that I'll link below. I prefer the bigger one, and I would get honestly as big of one as you can afford, because if it does more than how big your room is, then why not? Anyway, thank you for watching, and that's it for today's video. Please consider subscribing and liking this video. It would really help me out. And bye!